Hello, Tommy Oldham here, and welcome to my Tom's Football Stories today. It's one of the fun parts of being a football fan, where you either look absolutely intelligent or, come the end of me, remotely stupid. Yes, this is the video where I will be making my upcoming predictions for each of the four professional leagues. That's the Premier League, Championship, League 1, League 2, and also the National League. If you've already seen it, my National League predictions were included in my Oldham Athletic takes, but if not, I'll have the video to you. Obviously, by the time you've watched this, Championship, League 1 and League 2 have already started, but I've kept the video off hold only because I like to make my Premier League one towards the end with the amount of wheeling and dealing that gets done at the last minute. Obviously, last season was an interesting one. Manchester City won the treble, but obviously, for the Premier League, for most of the season, they were pushed by Arsenal. We saw Manchester United under Ten Hag get third place. Newcastle were able to get fourth place, their first year under Saudi ownership. Liverpool, who had a shocking run of form, ended up finishing the season strong and getting fifth place. We saw Brighton getting into Europe and Europa Conference League along with Aston Villa. Obviously, both had managerial changes when Potter left Brighton and massively flopped at Chelsea, who absolutely underachieved last year, from Tuchel to Potter to Lampard, and ended up finishing 12th. Not as bad as the 14th though in the 1993-94 season. West Ham won the Europa Conference League. Newly promoted Fulham had a good season and for once will not be a yo-yo team. Brentford in their second season had a great year. At the bottom, we said goodbye to Southampton, Leeds and Leicester. So, what will this season be like? Well, again, it's expected to be competitive at the top. The relegation battle at the moment looks so wide open, as always. But who's to say? Anything can happen in football. Who would have thought the Championship playoff final would have been Luton v Coventry last season? That's what it's got you thinking. Who would have thought that two of the teams going down from the Championship would have been both Wigan and Reading, who would have both again fallen into financial difficulties. In League 2, Leyton Orient and Stevenage both upsetting the odds in getting promoted. It shows anything can happen in football. Milton Keynes being relegated after the season they had before in League 1 when they were in the playoffs. Yes, football is a funny old game. It's one of the reasons why we absolutely love it to bits. So here goes. I'm going to start off with my Premier League predictions. So here are my Premier League predictions. To win it, I'm going for Manchester City. Obviously, last year did the treble. Rodri's been outstanding. I think the loss of Goodwilden could be a blow, but replacements have both come in good. Guadalajara and Katovic both look decent acquisitions. Second place has gone for Arsenal. At first, I wondered, did Arsenal capitalise on other teams having a poor season last year? Obviously, they started off well and faded, but the signings of Declan Rice, Havertz, I think are both brilliant signings. For Declan Rice especially, it's the next step up for him. In third, I've gone for Liverpool. Obviously, Liverpool had a bit of a disappointing last season. I actually thought, like the season before, they will push City through it. The return of Diaz will be an absolute key for them. But Sobolarski is a brilliant signing. And McAllister with Brighton. Obviously, they've lost a few players. Milner, Henderson, Fabinho being a few. Chamberlain and Firmino. But they've still got Nunes and Gakpo, Jota and of course Salah. There's plenty of goals potential in this team. In fourth place, I've gone for Chelsea. Now, obviously last year Chelsea massively underflopped and they will not be playing European football this year. But under Pochettino, he's got experience in this league. He knows the Premier League and he's made some good acquisitions. And on the extra time off could benefit him. And he won't be aiming for a fifth or sixth. He'll be aiming to be in that top four. In fifth, I've gone for Manchester United now. I know they've lost the Gea. They have brought a few players. The problem is with Manchester United is the ongoing takeover saga with the Glaziers. Obviously, there's speculation around will Greenwood play and will have a knock-on effect on the first team. In sixth, I've gone for Newcastle now. Eddie Howe did a fantastic job last year. And it's good to see an English manager given a chance to do well. Expectations this year are going to be a lot higher. people are going to expect bigger things. Also, it's the return to European football for the first time in 20 years. Will they cope with that Wednesday to Sunday? Now, I could actually see Newcastle finishing third in their group, but actually going on and winning the Europa League. And I think a lot of Newcastle fans will take that. 7th, I've gone for Aston Villa. Emery came in and changed that team last year. The signing of Derby from Leverkusen is a big game changer for me. I'd also fancy him possibly for that European Conference League. 8th, I've gone for Tottenham. The problem with Tottenham and the new manager is he did a great job in the SPL for Celtic, but is that really a challenge? At the moment, the talk is Harry Kane's can go to Bayern Munich, so there's that speculation it's been left really late. And will it come together? Last year's Tottenham have folded, have dropped like flies. There's been toxicity. There's a lot of angry fans, and it's a big rebuilding job for him. In 9th, I've gone for Brighton. Again, Brighton last year did really well. Obviously, will do your Europa Conference game for a team that's not used to Thursday, Sunday. How will they cope with that? Obviously, they lost McAllister. The talk is going to lose Casido as well. And how will they replace him? Pedro's not a bad buy, to be fair. In 10th, people may surprise, but I've gone for West Ham. Now, last year in that Europa Conference, they were outstanding. They struggled in the league. They have bought Alfred from Ajax, and there's talk of James Ward-Prowse coming there. I know they've lost Rice, but the pressure I think is going to be on Moyes, but I think actually that boosting confidence are doing well. Now, 11th, I've gone for Fulham. The keys they've kept at the moment, Mitrovic. They've got that goal scorer. And last year they played really good. For me, anyone from 9th to 20th could be in a relegation dogfight, really. That's what the Premier League is, literally the top 6 and everyone else. 12th, I've gone for Burnley. Company did a good job to get them back up. They play good football. He's going to make some great acquisitions. If you can get that teller back, who's banged the goals in last year, I think that's the final piece in the jigsaw. They've just signed Serge from Sheffield United as well, which is another good buy. And it's weakening a relegation rival. I'm sure City will give him a fair few players. I've gone for Brentford in 13th, partly because at the moment the talk is the keeper's going and the suspension of Ivan Toney. He was the main provider of their goals, and his suspension will have a knock-on effect. Now the talk is may even get sold, and Brentford have replaced well, but I think 13th is relatively good for this season. 14th, I've gone for Everton. I'm not expecting anything special from Everton this year. With a new stage on the horizon, I think Sean Dyche, his job is just to basically steady the ship and keep them up. They are on the verge of signing a lad from Sporting Lisbon. 15th, I've gone for Crystal Palace. Now, it's the first season without Wilfried Zaha. Roy Hodgson came back. Roy Hodgson is not getting any younger, and there's talk of 1 or 2 other players possibly leaving as well. So I think it'll be similar to last year where they'll be in around the area, a bit of a struggle. 16th, I've gone for Nottingham Forest. Steve Cooper did a great job last year. The fact he signed so many players and at one point looked like a dead man walking, but he turned it round. It kept him up, and I'm confident he'll do this year. 17th, I've gone for Luton. Now, people are saying I've written them off already. Kenilworth Road is an intimidating ground. It's small, it adapts, it suits Luton. But a lot of these big clubs will not like going to that ground, as will some of the relegation rivals. Luton have shown they can play good football. And as long as they win at least 7 or 8 of them games around the teams in that area, that should be enough to keep them up. In 18th, we've gone for Bournemouth now. Bournemouth got rid of Gary O'Neill at the end of the season. And I reckon they're trying to do a Brentford-Bournemouth model. Now, one of the players to sign is that Traore, who doesn't look a bad acquisition. To sign that Scott from Bristol City. But I just think still not got enough where other teams have strengthened. 19th, we've gone for Wolverhampton, who just actually appointed O'Neill as the manager this week. Again, like I said, have not done much in a transfer window, which doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence that this year they can do it. Remember when Wolves first got back in the Premier League, the thought was they were going to compete with the top 4, push them when they had Nuno, and they were buying players for fun, and that seems to have all dried off now. Finally, at the bottom, I've gone for Sheffield United to go straight back down. They've signed a few players. The players have signed relatively unknown. They've already sold one of the best players to Burnley. I just don't see them staying up. So, come the end of the year, we'll see just how good my predictions are. I'm going to go for Liverpool to win the League Cup, City to win the FA Cup as well as the Premier League. I'm not even going to predict the Champions League until the draw's done. Anyway, to remind you of predictions, below is an attachment. And now it's time for my championship predictions. The most exciting second tier in Europe, followed closely by the Bundesliga 2. I've gone for Leicester to win it. Last year was a bad year for them. I know they've got the Pep Guardiola's number 2's come in, but still got the likes of Jamie Vardy, who's got goals in Iheanacho. Pato at its level may find it easier. Neil Didi, Justin in the defence, Mark Albrecht and Dewsbury Hall. They've got plenty of players and they should win this league. Second place runners up have gone for Middlesbrough. Carrick turned their season around. They went a bit off form just towards the end of the season, lost in the playoffs. Third have gone for Southampton. Obviously it looks like they're going to lose Lavava and Ward-Prowse, but they've still got a good squad of players. Fourth have gone for Millwall. Obviously Millwall have been up and around there the last few years, but I think this year's the year they finally crack on. Obviously they lost to Chairman in the summer, so it gives them even more incentive to go and do it in his memory. Fifth have gone for Sunderland. They came up last year and they had a right good season, probably overachieved better than what people are expecting this year. They'll be hoping to move on. Obviously they've got Jude Bellingam's younger brother Joe, who's coming from Birmingham, who's a good little player. Sixth have gone for Preston, who've recruited quite well. Seventh, Leeds. Obviously the managerial changes last year didn't work for him. Big Sam couldn't keep him up. Farke's gone in there, but it's whether or not he can build and turn that losing mentality around. Eighth have gone for Coventry, who again last year under Robbins not like the come to all the thing, don't we? But he's done a good job there. He's turned them round. That Gustavo was a cracking little player, and it's making sure they keep hold of him. He's already lost a few players, but still should be enough to be up there. Ninth have gone for West Brom. Again, we've got a good manager, but it's the off-field issues, the funds. It's a question of ownership and everything, what's going on, it could go against them. The same for Blackburn in 10th. The international laws that have come in India will have a knock-on effect on the thinkers. There's talk of players having to put their own flights back from pre-season. Yondal Thompson's got a decent team, but the loss of Diaz and Bradley Dack could really be a big impact on him in attack. 11th have gone for Ipswich. They were second last year, they played really well and look a good bet this year has been the top half. 12th have gone for Watford. The problem with Watford is you don't know what's going to happen with a manager. A few bad results, see you later. Constant chopping and changing, the lack of consistency. You never know what you're going to get with them. 13th have gone for Norwich. Norwich don't look like the same Norwich in recent years that have gone up and come down. 14th have gone for Swansea, which Michael Duff took over. Obviously he did well with Barnes. 15th have gone for Bristol City. A few people are tipping them as outsides for the playoffs, but I don't see that myself. 16th have gone for Plymouth. Obviously under Schumacher they had a good season. They won League One. Obviously they lost the Shakira Trophy final, but they're happy with promotion. I think they'll stick with this year and just consolidating in League One. Obviously Stoke have appointed James Neal, who doesn't look like a bad appointment. They've signed Wesley from Villa. It'll either be an amazing success or a massive flop. 18th have gone for Birmingham, another team that have had takeover issues in the past. They finally now seem settled. They've actually recruited a lot of permanent players and not loanees, so keep an eye on them. 19th, well again the Turkish owners have come in. They've signed quite a few, but nothing that convinces me that they're going to really do much. 20 Rotherham. Rotherham is good at using the loan market. They stayed up last year, which was the primary target after many years as a yo-yo club. They were looking to step on from that. 21st, Sheffield Wednesday, they should stay up. Obviously, Darren Moore left after they won the playoff, that amazing comeback in the semi-final, but there's talk again of problems, all's not well there, and if that interferes on the playing field, they could struggle. 22 Cardiff, I don't know much about the manager. Still got Vincent Tan. They didn't really over-impress, but they've got Aaron Ramsey, but let's not forget, Aaron Ramsey's legs are not the same Aaron Ramsey we remember years ago. However, his experience could prove Fight Law as an impact player. 22nd, third have gone for Huddersfield. Neil Warnock, how much more can he do? He's not younger, he's getting on. They've not brought many players in this summer, and that's why the second tips go down. And the tips for bottom is QPR. Ainsworth should not have gone QPR. He should have finished the job at Wickham. They're a mess, they've lost players, they're not playing the football they used to, and it's just like a club. And that's my championship predictions. Now League One was very, very competitive last year, and the top three all achieved massive amount of points. Obviously Plymouth won it, Ipswich came second, Sheffield Wednesday, even the two teams in the playoffs, Barnsley and Bolton, achieved over 80 points. Now Bolton beat Plymouth in the Checker Trade Trophy last year, and I've got them to finish as champions. I've got Charlton as runners up, as they've recruited really well, put in a good team together. Portsmouth have looked good in pre-season, they're my team to finish third. Fourth, Derby, obviously Paul Warne came in last year, took over, it was more of a rebuilding job. I still think they're in the right direction, but they missed out in the playoffs last year. I think that's that bit short. Fifth is Lincoln. Lincoln, they bought some decent players and they had a great season last year. Their home form is very good. 6th have gone for Peterborough. You don't know what will happen with Aaron Ferguson. Will he stay? Will he go? He's a hero at the club. He's been there a long time in numerous spells. 7th have gone for Oxford, have looked alright. 8th have gone for playoff finalist Barnes, and now they've lost Michael Duff as manager. Norwood's gone toward them. Still got some good players like Callum Styles, Devantico, but again there's off-pitch issues. Could it have an effect? It could be. And I think it's a case of them rebuilding. 9th have gone for Blackpool. 10th Burton. 11th Bristol Rovers. 12th have gone for Shrewsbury, who actually had a bit of good form towards in the last season. Exeter 13th, it seems to dip off a bit. 14th was League 2 champions Leyton Orient. 15th Fleetwood, whose owners, obviously all the legal issues in being in court and everything. The question is, how will they have to sell players? Now at the moment Scott Brown's got a decent team, but it's whether the impact of what's gone on affects them. 16th have gone for Stevenage. I think Steve Evans will be enough to keep them up. He knows this league. He's not a Mr. Nice guy, but he gets results. 17th gone for Reading. Now, Savage is a good signing for him, but the fact they can't sign any more players, another transfer embargo, and if it got worse, it's another points deduction, that could have a big impact on him. 18th have gone for playoff winners Carlisle. Again, Paul Simpson, he knows Carlisle, it's in his DNA. He should do well enough to keep them where they are. 19th have gone for Wigan. Now, Wigan obviously start with a points deduction. Teams that start with point deductions often get to 0 early. It's like the job's done and the Reds gone, that can't happen, they need to get to 0 and keep pushing up. Again, we don't know if there's many more points deductions that have been took over, but this is Wigan. And that's why I'm going for them in 19th. 20th is Wickham. Since Ainsworth left, I've not seen nothing in this new manager that convinces me that they're going to do much more, and I think it'll be a struggle. 21st go for Cheltenham. Again, they've lost quite a few players. 22nd Port Vale, they had the second part of the season was bad. Now they pulled away, but they could have easily gone into that final day of the season in a relegation scrap. 23rd have gone for Cambridge. Again, it's the third season up there. I just don't see them really pushing much more. 24th gone for Northampton, who've been up and down from this season many times before. Hopefully again another entertaining season in this division. So like last season, League 2 is expected to be highly competitive. Obviously, Orient, Stevenage surprised people as did Carlisle. Northampton are expected to be there. These are my predictions for this year. So champions, I've gone for Stockport. Obviously, Shalmere has won promotion before with Fylde, Hartlepool and Stockport. Came a bit unstuck last year, did form at a long time last seven playoffs. Second, I've gone for Mansfield, under Nigel Plus guidance. They've been just missed out the last few years, but we're experiencing Perch, goals in Keeler Davis done. Third, I've gone for Wrexham. You can't ignore Wrexham. With all the money that's been involved, the likes of Mullin in attack, they're bound to be up there. Fourth, I've gone for Gillingham. Now, last year, they were near the bottom and were bottom at one point. Neil Harris stuck by them. They got to corner. The new owner come in, put his money where his mouth is, kept him up and expected one of the favourites this year. Fifth, I've gone for Bradford. Mark Hughes massively underachieved last year. I'm not a fan of him anyway, but for his experience in the game, the goals that Cook was scoring, he was expected to take them up. This year, I still think they'll be up there, but I've not seen nothing to make me think they'll do much better than what they've done now. Sixth, I've gone for Barrow. Pete Wilde is doing an amazing job at Barrow at the moment. He's building a nice little squad, brought a few players in from non-league. There's not much expectations from them, but Barrow have proved a few people wrong, especially last year, and that's why I think they'll make the playoffs. Seventh, I've gone for Notts County. Now, last year, they pushed Wrexham all the way and just in the end, lost the game they needed to win. They've got goals in Langstaff. McGoldrick's a good player. If they've kept all the Bostock as well, he's another key one. Obviously, they'll be facing tougher teams this year, but they'll still be up there. I still think they've got just that bit to go up again this year to make it back-to-back promotions. Eighth, I've gone for Salford again. Neville keeps throwing money at them, and they don't seem to do it. Could this be the year? I'm still not confident. Ninth, MK Dons, of the four teams that come down. Milton Keynes had a horrible season last year, having finished the playoffs the season before. They'll be up near there, but I don't expect them to bounce back straight away. 10th is Doncaster. Under McCann, I expect them to be much improved than what they did on last season. 11th is Grimsby. Grimsby stayed up last year and then come back up the first attempt, and they should do alright this year. 12th is Tranmere. Again, I'm not expecting that much from Tranmere, but Yarney's not a bad signing for him. 13th is Walsall, a team I thought would have done a lot better last year than what they did. Should be around mid-tail this year. 14th is Sutton in their third season in the Football League. They did okay last year, and again, I don't really see them pushing up. Keeping hold of the manager may be a big achievement because other clubs maybe sniffing around at the job he's doing there. 15th is Swindon again. What's happening off the pitch? I'm hearing all sorts of stories. Last year, people expected them to be up there, and again, they weren't. 16th is Wimbledon, 17th is Crewe, 18th is Accrington. Now, Accrington have come down in a year when two stronger teams have got promoted. We've got a great chairman. We've still got Coleman, but I'm not expecting them really to do it much more than around where they are now. 19th is Colchester. Again, they've been down there the last couple of seasons. 20th is Harrogate. A lot of people have tipped them to get relegated. I don't see why. I don't think they'll do much in the league, but it's clearly good enough to stay up. 21st is Forest Green. Forest Green were atrocious last season. The appointment of Duncan Ferguson as well didn't work out. Obviously, the season they got promoted after Christmas Day, the shocking second half of the season, the way they handled that female manager appointment in the summer, and I just don't see them doing much. I still think the team in decline, but should be okay to stay up. 22nd is Morecambe. Derek Adams knows that the club have had issues with takeovers, they've lost a lot of players, brought a few bodies in. His experience should keep them in the league, but time will tell if what further happens with off-field issues. 23rd is Newport. Again, they're run by the Support Trust, but they've slashed their budget massively, and they've had to cut a lot of the squad, which makes me think they'll struggle based on some of the pre-season results. Bottom have gone for Crawley. That Wagner United group had all sorts of promises, the Bitcoin owners. It went completely wrong from last year. They've lost players, they've got goals in Telford, but unless they really put their heads into order, it could be a very long and bad season for them. Obviously, I'll share a full list once again of it, but it should be a good year in League 2. Harry right from the top, Oldham after the top, Chesterfield second, Barnet third, Woking fourth, Hartlepool fifth, Fylde sixth, Dagenham seventh, Bournemouth eighth, Bromley ninth, York 10th, Gateshead 11th, Eastleigh 12th, Aldershot 13th, Ebbsfleet 14th, Altrincham 15th, Solihull 16th, Kidderminster 17th, Wilson 18th, Rochdale 19th, Dorking 20th in the bottom four, Southend 21st, Halifax 22nd, Maidenhead 23, and Oxford City 24. Let's see at the end of the season if they're any right, or like most of my bets, completely wrong. Who knows, that's part of the fun of this. So that's it, that's the predictions in. Come May, let's have a look how right or how totally wrong I was. See you later. Catch you on the terraces. Feel free to subscribe, plenty more content coming throughout the season.